Welcome back to Refrain Chord. So, yeah, we've done all of Guillermo's order quests. Sorry, Teo, no lore. They didn't give Guillermo any lines. There you go, see, Teo, that's the Synthesizer's thing option there on Tomoe's shop, but it hasn't been unlocked yet.
I guess you can hang out with Tomoe.
Yeah, basically. Alright, so now let's actually challenge Ethel on the Soul Plains.
Right, we were supposed to do that.
We've been keeping her waiting, but thankfully she's been waiting for us.
In true RPG fashion, yes. Alright, so the usual shit. Defeat all the enemies.
Do it! But, yeah, if I understand correctly, I'm guessing the idea is like, well, you kind of breeze through your initial playthrough with, some, stuff to get the New Game Plus, and essentially...
No.
If I understand correctly, New Game Plus is kind of most of your fresh playthrough.
No, okay, in my first playthrough, I did the game, typically, I did it on easy mode, because I didn't particularly, I didn't want to spend, like, a long time going for the hard mode, necessarily, for a game like this, and, yeah, like for example, all those levels that you're seeing, where the characters are all at level 60 plus, right? That's entirely grinding on my own, because there isn't a max XP cheat on Save Wizard for this game. Thing is, it doesn't work. So basically, don't do that one. So basically, what you're seeing with the characters being at level 60 plus, that's the combination of 4 playthroughs being done in a row. Because the game is actually very short when you get right out. Gameplay-wise, like if you let's put it from when you're doing a playthrough where you skip every single cutscene, like immediately with L2, right? The game is very short, and you can easily get through it relatively quickly. As for grinding, it's actually very easy to grind in this game. You know why? Because you get XP and FP for every single action you make, which means it's incredibly easy for you to go back to the first free battle of the game, which is very easy, and just stay there and do nothing but constant buffs moves or constant cure moves anyway, and you always get XP and FP for it, so you can just keep doing that. Just do that over and over and over and over, and you can grind very easily in this game if you can exploit the system, basically. See, like notice how what Galdo just did. He got 2 XP and 24 FP. How much XP and FP you get depends on which move you're making. Usually, magic moves give you a lot of FP, whereas physical attacks give you a lot of XP. So basically, find yourself moves that are very easy to replay and redo over and over. Go to the easiest battle that you can replay every time in the game, and just do that over and over. Just keep doing that and the same move over and over, and allow the monsters to constantly respawn so that you don't accidentally end the battle. And you can basically... It's kind of like Final Fantasy II. If you know what you're doing, you can basically grind the shit out of your levels in just one battle. If you can just, so basically the way the system works, it's very easy to exploit. So it's very easy to get over level in this game, basically. That's basically what I did when I figured out I could exploit the system. Remind me, Terry, if I remember, it's been a few years since I played. If I remember correctly, this is not how Tactics works, right? Like in Tactics, you just get your XP and stuff after the battle, right?
Depends on the game. Some games let you do that. Others like Jeanne d'Arc lets you, get it as you strike the enemy.
Oh sure, yeah, that is true. Jeanne d'Arc does that, but Final Fantasy Tactics, I don't think it does that.
It really depends on the game.
Yeah.
Sure, Tactics is one of them, but it's not like the complete codifier
sure.
of that.
No, that is true. I forgot about that. Jeanne d'Arc does that actually. No,
not
but
just that, also Fire Emblem.
Yeah. I don't really play Fire Emblem, so I wouldn't know about that one. But no. But my basic point is, trust me, the way the game is set up, it's incredibly easy to exploit the system and just stay there and grinding a lot of XP and FP for your characters. So you can very easily overlevel yourself in this game. Yes, thank you, game.
Locate energy is restored 1. Have some G.
Okay.
What that means.
Gotta love one of these Steam reviews. I have no idea what this game is about, but the white Pokemon looks cute. I mean, I guess it's honest.
And there you go, Taylor. Well, there you go, Joe. You just saw the closest equivalent that this game has to the constant thing from Evan Dark Force. So there's that.
Sure.
Yeah. And Ethel, we still do the whole Karin translation shtick from the first game.
Showing that Fang's softer side. Neat.
No, you don't.
Now remember, this is kind of like what they were doing in the first game too. Problem is, they don't do it quite as well as that game does.
And remember, the original route before the time loop ended with Ethel getting killed. That was the thing that we were trying to prevent in the time loop, so I'm guessing they have to do something different.
Yeah. You'll see. Right now she doesn't join us yet, but she'll join us later. Well, bye.
Ow. Now look here, Al. The RPG Hero's Handbook Guide does say that showing mercy does tend to yield you extra party members. I like Al. He's such an audience surrogate when he's not being an audience lecturer.
No, I mean you. You bother me.
I do think it was
There you go.
incredible.
There you go, Ted. They're about to explain how come glass is in every battle.
I swear I've seen this concept in another game.
You see,
A shadow version of yourself.
you see, it's a power that muses have that serves as an excuse for the programmers to put her in every battle in the game.
Pedro, question: is Fleur required to be in every battle?
No, not in every battle. The game requires you to have her in most. Yeah, I think all of them actually, all of the main story battles. But when it comes to the side battles, you don't have to have her in every battle.
I guess I get it, since obviously she's like kind of the new linchpin.
Yes, she's clearly the character that the game is, setting up as the new super awesome protagonist.
So if I recall correctly, Fang is required to be in every battle.
No,
Absolutely.
no, not every battle.
Oh.
No.
Remember, Drova, even Dark Force, one of the routes does start without Fang.
Okay. Well, when I say every battle, I mean every battle where he is available story-wise as a party member. Like, obviously stuff where he was out of the loop or, was evil, that wouldn't work.
There you go, those Tiara is with you, don't worry. But, no, Jova, to the credit of this series has always had the thing where even if the character is in the story, you're still allowed to take him out of the party. So.
Okay, kudos.
Some games do that, like in Final Fantasy IX, you cannot remove Zidane from the party until Disc 4.
Wait, we got attacked at the hospital?
Yeah. Great.
Remember, that's what happened.
Yeah. But they also do something similar. If I remember correctly, outside of outside of that one moment where Cloud is incapacitated, I don't think we can take Cloud
out. No, you cannot remove him. No, you cannot.
Yeah, because 9 does that too. In 9, you can take Zidane out of the party until Disc 4. In 8, you can, again, to 8's credit, you can entirely customize the party much better in your own way. I don't know why...
I thought you could remove Squall only in Ultimicia's castle when you had to, split the party into...
Do you? I'll have to check that again. Maybe. I do have to wonder though, like that PS1 era Final Fantasy games really having that weird obsession with the protagonist must always be in the party for some reason.
Combined also, particularly 7 and 8 also introduced I don't think I mentioned that much, but it might sound like a nitpick, but in hindsight, not really. It also introduced the fact that possibly to simplify things for the console's power, they reduced the party members from 4 to 3, which I'm not particularly fond of. I mean, active on battle.
Well, 4 brought that back at least, so...
9.
9, yeah. That's what I said. I get the feeling it was just more like an intentional choice, most likely.
No, I get the idea it was for optimizing on the console, on the hardware, more than anything.
I guess.
Something is bothering. Well, yeah, something's bothering me. I was brainwashed again.
Yeah, this seems to be kind of my thing.
Yeah, that's like my. It's like Maya being kidnapped all the time, except somehow worse.
Wait, Maya doesn't get kidnapped. I think you mean Maya becomes accused of a crime. That's what you mean.
That too.
Maya only gets kidnapped, I think, once in the Ace Attorney series, if I remember correctly, which is, of course, in...
Twice.
Wait, what's the other one?
Spoil, but...
Well, I guess
okay. Okay, then never mind. You're right. I forgot about that. You're right.
I guess 6 then.
I forgot. Alright.
But yeah, it seems like
Sherman said.
Sherman's deal seems to be that, well, again, he remembers all that happened while he was brainwashed, and that kind of can mess a guy up, especially since he saw Zenke as a friend while being brainwashed, and...
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, might as well bring that up. The game brings up this idea that apparently Zenke and Sherman used to be friends, which was never a case in Advent Dark Force or the original game. So I have no idea where this new writer is pulling this from, because never has this been established at any point in the series before this point. And for the record, this doesn't really go much of anywhere, because if you're expecting Zenke to join the party and become a good guy, that's not gonna happen. I can tell you that.
Well, does he still die? Because he died in every route.
No, that's the thing. That's the thing, Teo. Zenke doesn't really do much of anything in this game. Go on, Jova.
I think more so Sherman's conflict seems to be in that he felt somewhat in tune with Zenke. I don't think they're hinting that they were friends in the original Route game or whatnot. Although I could have sworn there was some point where Sherman, when he was evil, sort of teamed up with Zenke for a tiny bit.
The closest I remember is him and Zagi drinking the wine in the Evil Goddess Route. But that's that.
Alright then.
Of course you didn't.
Poor boy.
That does beg the question, though. Because none of the fairies that I got, and I did it all, like I said, I did everything. All the fairies, none of the fairies give me the beam ability, though. So where do you get beam, then? That's the weird part. Like, okay, I get where you get item skills now, according to what Teo just said. I get that. But where do you get beam specifically? Because I never found anything related to beam.
So beam just popped up when you used the cheats?
Maybe I'm actually starting to wonder if maybe beam is an ability that was meant to be in the game, but they removed it at the last minute. But the game's code is still there for it, so the cheat just puts it there for you to get, and it's still usable technically. The developers just took away the ability to get it because it was too broken. Maybe it is possible. Sometimes that happens. So.
Are you sure you didn't maybe get beam while you were, zooming through some of the stuff and maybe...
No, I can guarantee that none of the fairies that I have give me the beam ability. I can guarantee you that.
I don't suppose you've noticed any discussions about
Again,
how beam might come from to you?
Not used anyway. Let's just focus on the dial, please.
Yeah, like, to be fair, this is, again, some of the better character stuff here. Again, like... It seems to be that Fang, while he acts aloof on the top, is someone who does care for the team as a unit first and foremost here. And now is pretty much confiding in him about why Sherman might be feeling guilt about feeling in tune with
Ethel, want to know how to keep a plot point in suspense?
Drop it.
Sure, let's go with that.
We'll leave it hanging.
Let's just wait and see what happens, I guess.
Yeah, that kind of falls flat when we the audience didn't see any of that.
I mean, we did see Sherman in tune with Zenke for the short bit he was brainwashed, so...
No, I get that, but Fang is saying that maybe Sherman saw something good in Zenke while the time that they were together. Again, if... it's all lip service. If I didn't see it for myself, it's just a hard pill to swallow, considering how much of an evil psychopath Zenke is, to be honest with you. Like imagine if all of a sudden... in an Ace Attorney game, they started saying, "Oh, but turns out the killer is actually a nice guy, and we never realized it." And they're just saying this, but we never it feels off for suddenly to talk about this character as if apparently has a nice side now.
What do you think of the dialogue so far, Tio?
I mean, I don't see anything particularly wrong so far, aside from the one or two moments, like the panties were skit.
Same. I mean, it's not the deepest stuff, but I'd say
again, that
so
being said,
far...
we're still learning the game.
Yeah, okay, I'll say this. It's not the deepest stuff. And like I said, the way the game started was...
I keeping my eyes on you, Harley.
Yes.
For this situation.
Don't worry, Tail. She will not violate law in this game, so...
What restraint did they put on her? Jesus.
I get the remember Jova, and this is one thing. Okay, this is for all the wrong reasons that this happened, but it's still a good thing that it happened. I just wish the reasons why it happened would be better. Remember Jova, unlike Event Dark Force, which was made back before Sony started setting up all those censorship policies that they have nowadays when it comes to nudity in games, and what they did with that one shot from Devil May Cry 5 and stuff like that, right? This game was already made with Sony's current policies in mind. And that's why there's way less fan service and way less stuff like that in this game. In fact, you can look at this at the most recent Neptunia mainline game, Neptunia Sisters vs. Sisters, where that game also doesn't have any the usual fan servicey stuff that Neptunia and Compile Heart in general is known for. So Compile Heart, over the recent years, have actually been bending to Sony's new policies by having a lot less fan service. I personally find this to be an improvement to their games, because even when they try to do this as humor, it always comes across as just cringy to me. So I honestly don't think it's a bad idea for them to do. I just wish they would have actually come up to that conclusion of themselves instead of being forced by censorship. But well, what can I say? So as a result, Jova, a lot of the terrible jokes that we saw in the original game are not here because, again, they're bending to Sony's policies, basically.
I guess that the games must sell best on Sony if they're bending specifically to them, since these games do come to Nintendo and PC as well.
Well, that is true. The thing, Jova, is even to this day, these games still release mostly firstly on Sony consoles. Like not this game. This game came out on PS4, PS5, and Switch day one. The PC port came 1 month later, but not too much for that. But Neptunia Sisters, which is a 2023 game, that game released first on PS4, PS5, and PC, and nothing else. The Switch and Xbox ports only came this year. 2024 as the time of this recording. So they're still giving. It's something that they've been doing since the PS3 days, Joe. But they've always put Sony. They've gotten used to making these games for PlayStation consoles.
Again, it depends on where where it sells them, on which it sells the most in Japan, because that's mostly the target audience.
Yeah. Which is weird. Like in that case, they should have. We would think Neptunia Sisters would have had a Switch port on day one, then, but I guess not.
Going off of that. Oh wait, hold on. Bad guy scene.
All right, all right, and there's Bernard. Ladies and gentlemen, meet the first of your kind. What do you mean by that, Bernard?
Man with the most terrifying first name, Bernard.
So this is how the Sutra started.
I guess we'll get back to that later.
Foreboding.
Chapter 6, Reincarnation.
But yeah, I do see what you mean. I think perhaps part of the reason why the story has flowed better is due to that restraint. Regardless of how some people may think or feel about
trust me. trust me, as someone who, because I didn't live through it, but I live in a country that is very anti-censorship in our culture, specifically because of a specific fascist regime that we once had back in the day, during my parents' youth. I am absolutely opposed to censorship of any kind, so I wish this conclusion would have come about from an actual intentional creative decision from them to realize that they need to stop doing this. But unfortunately, no. So yeah, I don't like the fact that this is what finally got them to stop doing that shit. But well,
especially because it has the unfortunate implication, even if it's not intentional, of America trying to bully Japan for something, regardless of of it's righteous or not.
Which, to be fair, one thing people tend to forget. Japan actually has their very own strict censorship laws. Like, hey, you know the reason why Smash has to make sure that stuff is...
GTA.
yeah.
Like, you know the reason why Smash has to make sure that it's, as Sakurai put it, meant for good little boys and girls? That's because of the Zero age rating system over in Japan. Like, I know, as ironic as it may seem, Japan is very strict on this stuff. The reason we don't see it often is because the kids show anime tends to get away with a lot more than the games do.
Also, different cultural values where, stuff like, jokes and, fan service about sex is regarded, with more light compared to violence and vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
It's also that thing where... It's also that thing where they're more okay with the characters talking about it, but showing those sexual things is apparently what gets you a no-no. Hence, essentially what...
Was that Transformers Prime episode something to do with that, in the Japanese version of it that we did?
Ironically, the Transformers Prime episode was a case where they censored it to make it less violent, but made it more sexual in that Arachnid pretty much wants to screw Jack. Again, gotta love... Dwibs, it's this funny little thing we call double standards. You see, over in America, it's more that we're okay with violence, we just don't like swearing and sexual content. Whereas, say, over in Japan... Oh, woe be ye who gets too violent with this stuff, but a robot wanting to make love to an alien boy, which is apparently something she does as one of her hobbies? Well, I'll sign that right up there. That's okay for the kids.
Usually.
Yeah, okay. To be fair, Transformers has had a long history of not getting the best translations over to Japan. Like, I kid you not, without spoiling, the way Transformers Prime in Japan ends on one of the worst cliffhangers possible, whereas it doesn't end on a cliffhanger in the original American release. I have no idea what they were thinking over in Japan.
Also, wasn't Japan's attitude towards that was what caused Naughty Dog to have to drop Torna in the Crash Bandicoot series in favor of Coco?
Which is ironic, given that Japan was the one who originated the Crash dance, which includes pointing to your own gonads. So, you're sending mixed messages as usual, Japan.
Anyway,
I love you. You export a lot of great stuff, but you can be weird.
Usually, when it comes to the whole censorship thing, I always like to quote Kyle's mom's joke from the South Park movie. Don't forget what the MPAA always says: horrific violence is okay, as long as people don't say any naughty words.
My take on censorship is as follows. For the most part, I don't think it should be resorted to. But I will say there are some... And let me keep in mind, these are very specific examples, but sometimes it might be necessary when the stuff brought is so skeevy and just depraved for, no good reason even. And sometimes the censored version is actually better as a result. For example, Miffer and Smash probably would not have had her be censored, but ironically, censoring her gave her the better design with the black knitted
depends
leggings.
on the person who you ask.
True, subjective. The point is, okay, to go to a more proper example, going to a bit where somebody fondles or diddles kids for no reason in one version, except just to, shock the audience, I can get that. maybe being eschewed in like a different version. Again, it's a very nuanced thing. My stance is typically I don't support censorship. Only very rarely will I go, okay, I see why you did it. And again, like many things, it is not something that should be overused and abused. Also, are we talking over any important
No, don't worry. I can quickly recap what's happening. Basically, Fleur, like Al was talking about how Fleur is actually apparently been more comfortable showing her emotions ever since she's starting hanging out with us. Lola, in the meantime, has been stocking a lot of Dorfa parts that have been flying off the shelves, apparently. Apparently, Dorfa's parts have been very popular recently. And
Which
that's...
means they're up to something.
Yeah, and that's basically it, really. Aside from that, we're getting more information about a Fury from her.
Yeah, to bring this back to the game itself here, I will say this, censorship is one thing, but I've noticed that they also toned down on some of the stupid jokes that were repeating. Like, okay,
Yeah.
we can talk about how censorship may have forced them to get rid of some of the more skeevy dialogue, but the fact is they also got rid of some of the other dumb repeated stuff. Oh, that's not to say it's completely gone. We have had a few occurrences, but
Well, we have,
not
first
really.
of all, we have new stuff like the internet lingo thing that Pedro mentioned. Also, by checking the few discussion that I could find, I found that one of the constant things that people are talking is that this is apparently yet another product where the localization team in other cases decided to do fuck whatever and not translate what the characters were saying.
So, do you think I might have been right in that actually the characters are doing their usual sexual stuff and
That
they're
I can,
just like...
well, that I cannot really tell. I can only judge it from the tone of voice of a voice actor and the words that I can understand. And so far, they've been perfectly fine. It's just that sometimes, you know, we did notice a few of the jokes of that, that felt weird, like the unsubscribe.
Yeah, and Teo actually recently, when he was playing Advent Dark Force, he noticed there was one line that Tiara said in Japanese that was clearly super different.
That was mostly just an example, and from a little weeb who only knows a few, and I mean really a few, of Japan via pop culture osmosis.
Sure. No, I could, even I could notice something. Like, for example, to give you an idea, Jova, while me, Teo, Shiro, and I showed a couple of episodes to Shiro, but I showed all of it to Teo and Deji. We were watching Level 5's Megaton Musashi. There's a couple. The person who's making those fan subs for those episodes.
It's a bit too transported in describing some of the terms.
Like there will be times, Jova, where the characters would say "baka," which I'm sure you know means idiot or dummy or whatever, right? And the fan sub, for whatever reason, would use the R word. Like, and it's just like that. Why would you go that? Why would you do that? That's not what the word "baka" is meant to imply.
Not to be fair, but just to mention, it is worth noting that it's still taking a fan sub, the fan content not officialized, and people are not paying.
I get that. I get that he's not an official translator, but still, you're trying to translate this thing like it's still the same principle. A translator who, for some reason, is unnecessarily intoning his own or his or her own voice into the script when there's no need for it. Right? It's just a weird thing.
Like I said, when it's stuff that's fan sub, as much as I can dislike, at the very least I know it's stuff that, technically speaking, it's something that people did for the sake of just translating it and, and they insert their own quick, and the fact that they're not, employed by the company, they're not get paid and anything. My problem is start to realize when professionals get hired for the job and they do that kind of thing and they then post on Twitter how great they feel about it.
Yeah, I guess we might as well talk about that. Look, I will usually give localizers the benefit of the doubt that they are doing well. And we have a lot of examples of localizers who are actually doing a keen job. Case in point, especially Janet Sue and the Ace Attorney team.
And Richard Mark Pennywood at Level 5 was a fantastic job localizing their games.
And those who decided to take away a lot of the more extremely iffy parts of Fire Emblem Engage.
Yeah.
I'll leave it at that.
Same thing with Atlas USA and how they handled Catherine Full Body, and I think Persona 5 Royal also had some changes to the more iffy content.
And more recently,
Yeah, Persona 3 Reload had a couple of, let's just call them transphobic bits taken out.
Yeah, but
That being said, as Q has pointed out, there are some localizers that, well, localizers, translators, whatever, people who are responsible for bringing media to be able to be understood to people outside its point of origin, who are not just screwing the pooch, but boasting about how much better it is. And I get it. Some things are skeevy, but sometimes they... how shall I say...
I really get the feeling people in East America just are very cheap to hire because I cannot understand why they keep getting jobs and they screw up every single time.
Granted, I have
Especially
heard
from Neon Falcon.
I have heard that some of these localizers who go too far and boast about it on social media are reportedly getting replaced. Granted, the allegations are that they're getting replaced with AI, so one evil for another in that regard.
Well,
It's
whatever,
about-
it's besides the point anyway, and again, we keep skipping over actual dialogue.
don't worry, Teo. What's basically happening right now is Galdo is recapping his story with Dorfa and his past with Zenka that we already saw in Avant Dark
Again,
Force.
that is true, but I don't want to cut the game because of that.
No.
That is
I'm
true.
not crapping on the game for it. Like, it's fine. Like,
No. I think what Tio means is like, well, to be fair, if we miss something...
I don't even want to give the impression that I don't give a shit also about what's going on.
no. Like I said, right now he's retelling right now he's there you go. See, me and Marissa used to work for Dorfa until a hot minute ago. So this is basically a recap for those who didn't play the original, basically.
And I guess the idea of Fleur being completely out of the loop is a
Obviously,
perfect
yeah.
surrogate for having this
Obviously,
kind of exposition.
see, Motomo Toriyama, this is how you do it. You have an audience proxy character. It's not hard.
It's weird.
Congratulations.
Okay, I
I
forgot.
was like, come on, that was 10 years ago.
I'm still. I know, but like.
That's also the weird thing. For 13-2, Noel would have fit well the role, but apparently they did not do that.
Yeah.
Like, it really is a case where you think it was bad with Final Fantasy 13, but then each sequel goes, oh yeah, well, hold my beer.
Oh yeah, this bit now. This is the part that you probably don't like, Jova. Marissa's now all of a sudden treating Fang like a dog now for some reason. It goes. No. It's not that. It's basically Sherman is now explaining the plan and what we're going to do. Fang, of course, who thinks himself as the leader, doesn't want that. And every time he gets angry at Sherman, Marissa's like, down, Fang, down.
I mean, I get it. It's basically telling him to slow his roll and at least hear Sherman out first.
It's the equivalent of shut up, you don't start talking.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I know, it's just that Jova typically doesn't like it when the characters treat Fang like crap unnecessarily, so...
No. Specifically, I don't like when they treat him crap at points where he doesn't deserve it, essentially. Like, now, if he has done something that
Of course.
by all means.
Domination.
Of course! Well, to be fair, I mean, it's not like they've ever
Really?
wanted anything... Yeah, the Return of the...
Return of
Oh,
the
yeah,
Vile
that's right.
God.
Yeah, there you go. Occasionally we'll mention the Vile God again, but it'll never be a factor in the plot, so don't worry about that.
I mean,
Just
I
a
guess it's
reminder
still
that-
the ultimate goal of Dorfa.
It is, Teo, but Bernard stops chasing that at some point. That's the thing. Trust me, like,
I
the
guess-
Vile God doesn't show up in this game at all.
I guess the hint is supposed to be that removing the blades from the goddess or vile god, that mechanic is completely gone
Yes,
in this game.
it is. No, but that's the thing, remember, Jova, even if you don't do the Goddess Revival thing, the Vile God still comes in plot-wise regardless. It's just that in this game, the new writer is clearly more preoccupied with his new plot device that he came up with. We'll get that involves those two children that we saw earlier. Basically, Jova, it's clear to me that the new writer has his own unique ideas to bring to the table compared to what the original game did, basically.
To be fair, the third and final route of Ambit Dark Force pretty much just eschews the vile god and goddess for the evil goddess. So it's not like this is the first time where we pretty much have focused on something new other than those two.
Sure.
Excuse me,
So-
Al? Yeah.
Oh.
Oh, okay. I thought you were meaning also do a ritual.
You know, again, Al's got that Cheetan energy that I could totally see him suggesting, hey, why don't we summon the Bio God ourselves just to make sure the bad guys don't?
It's like that sentiment that the general military guy had in the core. Wait, the Soviets might be actually developing an earthquake-creating machine, making machine? Let's build one ourselves first! What could possibly go wrong?
Except everything. But I digress. Eh. Come on, Fang. Nobody likes a tsundere. Fair enough.
What do you mean go to bed? It looks like it's 4 p.m.
I mean, to be fair, Fang is the kind of person that eats a lot and who sleeps at every hour of the day.
It's like that bit in series of unfortunate events. So this is where you'll sleep. Time permitting. 99. But the sun's still up. He's stand still up. The movie, I mean, obviously. 500 billion pounds.
I will say this. Regardless of who's writing, they always make sure to have Lola at least be the best character in the room more often than not. Granted, it might just be due to the fact that her gimmick is kind of easy to pull off. The cute but money-grubbing little official.
No, we have to collect food.
I actually have something. Yeah, after this is done, I actually have something to add to the whole localization argument.
Allow me to introduce you to the concept of capitalism.
The horror.
Oh boy, her Oni-chan.
No, she meant
Son, actually.
she meant
Son.
yeah. Don't worry, Lola. Don't worry about it. Here's your fee. Yeah.
Ni
I think
is
it would
for
be on.
Ni is for brother, ne for sister.
Yep.
Although I think it would be Oni-chan since that's little sister. San is usually used for the older one.
Yeah, the older one, sure.
One-chan is for big sister. I've seen plenty. I've seen plenty of hentai, so I learned all those terms.
It's weird work, that kind of mechanic, because usually, well, okay, I can explain another time.
Basically, just to give a quick recap, once again, the Fleur is sheltered, so she doesn't understand Lola's lingo, and that's the joke, basically. Nothing too much. Again, like I said, like the Michael comment, like the Jovan has been said, it's not that the script is necessarily bad. Oh, howdy, handsome. How's the Fury collecting going?
Good? No.
No, that's the thing too. Sorry, Dwips. We're actually going to be able to answer her through a text box earlier, and that's what determines the route the story takes. Which is weird because the routes don't really have anything to do with Lola specifically, so I don't know why it's Lola's question that somehow dictates. At least in the original game, it made sense what dictated the route. It was depending on where you took swords from the Vile God or from the goddess. In here, it's just a random question by Lola is what dictates the direction of the story.
It's like one of the Clock Tower games where if you forgot to do a very specific action in an earlier chapter, you basically solved a lot yourself. Not to this caliber for this game, obviously. It's just that you wouldn't think it will do that.
Yeah, I want to talk about specifically what Matt Furda, the localization director from Square Enix of America, says about localizations, because I actually think his stance on the matter is actually the perfect way to go about it. It's kind of a similar thing to what Richard Marconi Wood says, actually. Where he says that, okay, basically the idea, he says, and I'm quoting him, I'm of the mindset that it's less about semantic components and more about the response they evoke. If a certain character rubs a Japanese player the wrong way, then they should similarly get under an English player's skin. And if another character endears themselves to a Japanese audience with a show of vulnerability, then the English audience should likewise fall in love with that character in that moment. So in his idea, it's about making sure that the line of dialogue has the same emotional response to the English audience that it has with the Japanese audience, basically.
That checks with what East America is doing, because a character in Danganronpa 3 completely has some of these, negative traits are completely removed from the localization, and it kind of goes for the worst. Not to say that those negativities are endearing, but in a sense that people have a right to know that he has negative traits.
No, what I mean, Teo, is that it should be the same response. Like, look, again, I'll use Neku from Wildlands Review as an example. Like, the reason they changed Neku's dialogue to be a lot more rude and snappy compared to the Japanese script is because Neku is meant to be incredibly rude to the Japanese audiences, and that's why they make him constantly be quiet, never speaking. Problem is, being silent all the time is not considered rude in the West, so they had to change the dialogue of Neku to get the rudeness across. Still, so that's so the idea is, yes, we did it, but we changed the dialogue so that the English players still get the same reaction that the Japanese players had, as in Neku's rude. They actually mentioned something here similar to what they did here, Terry. You probably know, because you know Japanese terms. You know the Japanese verb bazuru, which literally means to buzz? He says when they were translating Neo the Wildlands Review, they mentioned this. So the Japanese term verb bazuru, which means literally to buzz, for example, which is nicely summed up in the English version as to go viral, as in on social media and everything. And they also mentioned another one about okay, there's a character in Neo. Don't worry, I'll be quick. There's a character in Neo that usually ends by saying bye to the players, but it's meant to be a bye that's kind of, according to him, here we go. It's more than just a simple farewell. She intentionally uses a loan word as a cutesy way to end what typically snarky conversations are in Japan. Basically, apparently in Japan they have a snarky kind of rude way of saying bye. I don't know what that is, but according to him it does. Like a cheeky
it's the equivalent of saying see ya spelled with a C and a Y.
Yeah, I'm guessing that's what it is. But he says here, with a cheeky little protection, one last jab to get under Rindo's skin, as in the protagonist of Neo. And so the bye from the Japanese script, they changed it to later losers. Which, yeah, that's a good equivalent, like it's a goodbye, but it's a goodbye with a tint of rudeness and teasing. Just like...
I mean, I argue that fits as a literal translation.
Yeah. So Matt Ferda, the location director of Neo, he knows what he's talking about with this. Like, again, it's not about literal translation. It's about making sure that the lines convey the same emotional response. This line is meant to be rude, so we make sure we need to change the line to make sure that the English speakers also think it's rude, because that's what the writer of the Japanese script is conveying. If they had kept Neku's dialogue in the first game the same, literally, the rudeness would be completely lost in translation. As a result, Neku's character arc would not work as well. So this is actually a good example of how you do local. So these people know what they're talking about. As for Nice America, yeah, those guys have problems, like Tira said various times. But we've dragged this down, everybody. So Tira for the next part, everybody.
Yeah.
That's